Hello and welcome to Mangum Sun Plays channel. This is a channel for Diablo 4 content and other variety of games. I'd like to thank you guys for stumbling across this channel to check out the D4 content. Today's build is going to be one about Blizzard. Now, Ice Shards is the meta and it absolutely melts creatures, but I do not like just hitting a singular button and doing a swoosh 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 animation to hit multiple enemies. I like to do other things. So the Ice Queen build that is going to be presented in front of you is one that I carried over from D3 into D4. The Ice Spikes build with the Blizzard build applies chill. You have 75% more damage, 50% increased AoE, 10% multiplicative damage, 70% less damage taken, and a base 30% lucky hit chance. Going over the helmet, we have damaging elite grants you a barrier, absorbing up to 4,000 every 10 seconds. This effect happens every 30 seconds. Now, having a barrier for a sorcerer is going to be key to most of your builds, so I like to just keep that in there for all builds for the future. Now we have the chest piece imprinted frost number gains additional charge, but the cooldown per charge is increased by 34%. For this build, we would like the 40% increased charge time as it goes with our Ice Blaze build, the more time we spend in cooldowns. Now going over to the arms. The arms are the unique sacred gloves, the Frostburns. The lucky hit, up to a 23% chance to freeze enemies for 2 seconds. This is key in our build as we need enemies to be frozen. Frozen enemies do not do damage to us, so more bang for our buck there. Going over to the pants imprinted, you gain a 0.5% multiplicative chance to increase your armor when you deal any form of damage, stacking up to 50% multiplicative damage reduction. Now you combine this with the red gems to increase your life, and you have a really tanky sorcerer once you start doing damage, and damage you will be doing. Now looking at the boots are the sacred unique boots, and these are the Pented Greaves. You leave behind a trail of frost that chills enemies and deal an extra 10% multiplicative damage to chilled enemies. Chilled enemies will be chilled by the blizzard that you'll be casting. It'll be chilled by your ultimate. They'll be chilled by your base attack. They'll be chilled by you walking around. They'll be chilled by you activating your ice armor. And when I have imprinted on one of my weapons is when you cast Blizzard, it periodically spawns these ice spikes, dealing damage and an extra 25% multiplicative damage to frozen enemies. Now on my offhand, while Deep Freeze is active, exploding ice spikes form in the area, dealing damage, and increase ice spikes explosion radius by 50%. This is key to hitting all the little nooks and crannies that your Blizzard doesn't touch. Now imprinted on one of my pieces of gear is Ice Armor is active. You leave behind exploding ice spikes, and we're going to go to the little period here. Your ice spikes chill enemies for 10%. Now having that 10% extra chill is very, very, very beneficial to your build. On some of my rings and my amulets, I take 33% less damage from crowd controlled enemies or vulnerable, and I deal an extra 24% multiplicative damage to enemies. Now with the Frostbolt, that is going to be our mana generator when we run a little bit low. We're going to be using Ice Blaze as conjuring to use those cooldowns. Frost Nova along with stopping enemies in the tracks and doing that cooldown, along with Ice Armor to give us a barrier. Now our main damage dealer is going to be Blizzard, that deals up to a 16,707 base damage at my level right now with a lucky hit chance of 45%, chills enemies for 18% over 8 seconds. Now the chill with the 18% over 8 seconds, the chill that is applied from the boots, the chill that's applied from the Frostbolt, the chill that is applied with the damage over time. This gives us a really beefy stacking character. They can really tank a lot of damage. They can really do a lot of damage. But at level 72, I'm not on the higher echelon of damage, but let's continue with more of the build so you can see more things that can potentially stack up into our favor as we get more and more into it. Now the Ice Shards enchantment, Ice Shards automatically conjure and fly towards frozen enemies. Ice Shards have a 40% chance to ricochet off of another enemy. That's at base. And Ice Shards always ricochet off of frozen enemies. Our frozen status is going to be damn near all the time, so we don't really need that other aspect that you imprint and things bounce off. Now the Ice Blaze enchantment, every 40 seconds of cooldowns you spend, you'll spawn Ice Blaze. Ice Blaze cools down reduced by 0.5 seconds each time it hits a vulnerable enemy. 20% of Ice blades. Cooldown is applied to your other skills. Now on our Paragon board, we're worried about two main things for the glyph sockets, and that is a 0.9% damage reduction from chilled enemies, 2.3% damage to chilled enemies. After spending 50 mana, you deal a 6% increased damage and gain a 6% increased mana generation for 3 seconds, along with the 47% mastery skill damage and an increase to the mastery skill AoE area. We're going after the legendary node Icefall, which once we kill an enemy, we get a 15% barrier for our base life as a barrier for a few seconds. Now, Deep Freeze acts like our get out of jail free card. Deep Freeze, this activates a lot of things at once, so let's go over what Deep Freeze does. Deep Freeze increases or encases yourself in ice, becoming immune for 4 seconds, continually dealing minor damage, 25% of your damage, and chilling enemies for 4%. When Deep Freeze expires, it deals 100% damage. Now with Supreme Deep Freeze, when Deep Freeze ends, your non-ultimate cooldowns are reduced by 50%, along with Frigid Breeze. Cold damage against vulnerable enemies have a 20% chance to regenerate 15 mana. We're going to need that lucky hit chance to get our mana back, as we don't really generate mana and the blizzard costs a lot to cast. So in order to mitigate that, we're going to want as many mana generators as possible without actually using that imprinted aspect on one of our rings or amulets. Now, Prime Deep Freeze, when Deep Freeze ends, you gain the 10% of your base life as a barrier for 6 seconds. And then Cold Front, when you have a barrier, you apply 16% multiplicative chill. And with Hoarfrost, you deal a 9% multiplicative damage to chilled enemies and an 18% multiplicative damage to frozen enemies. Glass Cannon, you deal an 18% multiplicative damage increase, but take a 9% multiplicative more damage to yourself. Now, people forget that you take that extra 9% multiplicative damage to yourself, so you're going to need to align the elements to gain a 1% damage reduction from elites. For each seconds you haven't taken a damage from 1 up to 40%, you're going to need the mana shield. Every time you spend 100 mana, you gain 5% damage reduction for 5 seconds. And when critical strikes with the elemental attunement, you have a 15% chance to reset the cooldown on one of your defensive skills. All this in combination provides a really risky gambling reward system of using your blizzard, using your skills, going in there, applying that lucky hit chance, freezing enemies, making them vulnerable, getting mana reduction back, getting that extra 40% up to 47% extra damage from your blizzard, and staying alive in the process, because if you outlive the enemy, then you've beat the game. Now, if you guys did enjoy this video, go ahead and hit that like button, and if you made it all the way to the end of the video, I'd like to thank you for making it to the end of the video, and if you can hit that subscribe button, it would really help this channel out, as I will come out with more Diablo 4 builds in the future and place them on this channel. I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.